we're saving ourselves from an extinction of experiences. We want to be able to experience wilderness and wide open spaces and big open roads.
Good morning. I'm your personal trainer, and I got a great workout for you today. Let's go. I'm taking up your incline at 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
I'm with you right here. Come with me.
Follow with me here.
Hard to beat views like this anywhere in the world.
At home, I want you to race me this round.
Nice work. Let's go.
The world's always bigger, and it's always more beautiful than we can think in our darkest moments. What if we viewed the stuff that gets thrown into our lives, the adversity that we face, as something we get to work with?
Sprint to the finish. We're almost there.
Join me.
Join me,
Join me, your trainer.
your trainer, John Peel.
Stacey Clark. Kirsty Goldso.
Johnny on the spot, Tommy Rivs.
Hannah Eden. So what are you waiting for? Let's start shaping and toning that body.
This is iFit.
Ladies and gentlemen, a fantastic discussion lies ahead as we look at omnichannel fitness and wellness and how we can unlock its full potential. Omnichannel has been a huge buzzword across the industry in 2021, and it shows no sign of slowing down in 2022. For this session, I'm joined with 4 incredible experts who themselves have enjoyed transformational growth in 2021 as their companies have grown and innovated against some very tough market conditions. First up is Adam Zeitsiff, President and CEO of Intelivideo, an emerging company who have risen up in the last 10 years from being experts to now being leaders in the field of omnichannel and digital services. Jason Russell, Executive Director and founder of Optimum Performance Studio, OPS, an incredible new facility based out of the US, and we'll touch on that new launch with Jason in just a little bit. Helaine Knapp, founder and CEO of CITYROW, who have enjoyed a transformational capital raise this year, and quite incredible. And we'll touch on Helaine's strategy for digital and how she continues to build what is an incredible fitness empire. Last but not least, Jeff Esswein, Vice President for Strategic Accounts and Digital at Freemotion, part of the iFit family. And iFit have been on the acquisition trail this year with 2 incredible acquisitions. And they, of course, are one of the foremost leaders when it comes to content production, distribution, and monetization, a true leader in omnichannel and digital fitness and wellness. I thought what we do initially, ladies and gentlemen, is start by going around the houses, giving each of our panelists a minute or so to just explain who they are and what they do. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce ladies first. Helaine, over to you. If you could let everyone know who you are and what you're doing.
Absolutely, Ross. Thank you for having me. I'm Helaine Knapp. I'm the founder and CEO of CITYROW. We are rowing-based fitness, both studios across the country via franchise system, as well as a really robust on-demand platform, meaning we sell rowers and a monthly subscription with both on-demand and live classes. So all rowing based, but not about rowing. We're about smart fitness. We just happen to use the rower. So excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Helaine. And we'll get into your transformational year just a little bit later on in the session. Adam, coming to you, if you could just say who you are and what you're doing.
Sure. Good to be here, Ross. Good to see everyone. Adam Zeitsiff. I'm the CEO of Intelivideo, and we provide a digital platform that helps gyms and health clubs and any kind of fitness operator hybridize so they can offer a digital component to what they're doing in club or in studio. And been in the fitness industry for about 17 years, both on the digital transformation side, ERP side, as well as the club operator side as the CEO of Gold's Gym for a number of years as well. So good to be back.
Thanks, Adam. Great to have you here. And we'll dig more into your clients and what you're seeing digital and omnichannel later on. Next up, Jason Russell from OPS. Jason, let me know who you are and what you're doing.
Thanks for having me, Ross. Jason Russell, Executive Director of Optimum Performance Sports. We're a large orthopedic sports medicine hospital group in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And we've been a sports medicine company for the last 10, 12 years. And we're just first stepping into the fitness side. We see a lot of patients that are sick on a daily basis that we're not able to help. So we decided to build a 100,000 square foot facility and partnered with iFit on ways to objectively track these patients.
Look forward to hearing more about that facility and the wider business, Jason, later on. And last but not least, Jeff.
Sure. Thanks, Ross. Jeff Esswein, the Vice President of Sales, US and Canada for Freemotion Fitness, which is owned by iFit. Obviously, one of the leaders in connected fitness equipment, specifically around the equipment, and then also content delivery through iFit. And one of our partners is on with us today with Dr. Jason Russell. So we're excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Ladies and gentlemen, what I thought I'd do is initially maybe pull some trends and reflections from 2020 and compare them against 2021. I'll ask Adam just in a second for his initial thoughts, then I'll pull in Jeff, and then we'll come in to both Jason and Helaine later. Adam, reflecting on 2022, so much happened in the marketplace in digital. We thought, not much more could happen. But again, an incredible amount of developments happened in 2021. What trends did you see in 2020, and how were these trends evolving into 2021?
Yeah, I think I wish I had the crystal ball a year ago or two, but I think for us, what we've seen is in 20, we saw digital become that savior moment, right? That moment where everybody had to take a look at their businesses all locked up and shut down, and it became the savior of digital. And it was whatever you could find, whatever you could scrape together, whatever content, whatever platforms, free, monetized, didn't matter. And that quickly morphed over the course of later into 2020 and into 21 as something that people realized, okay, hey, we've seen how this phased in. We saw the critical need based upon the fact that our businesses were shut down. We saw the fact that the consumer behavior patterns of our customers, members, patients, whatever they are, have changed. And they've all changed from the fact whether it's restaurant, retail, grocery, fitness, they've all changed. And how are we going to, as operators, is what we talk to our customers about, how are we going to also change? And really the trend into 21 was taking that oh no moment and turning into a long-term oh yes moment, right? And really turning this into something that is affecting our businesses in a positive way. And I think what we looked at with digital and with technology in the past in this industry is digital has always affected, as being an operator and also a provider to operators, it's always affected around the product. Right. It's always affected your billing systems, your mobile app. How do I check in? Technology went from a manual check-in to a little key tag to now checking in on mobile apps. And your billing went from running, taking cash to using check-free to using all these new components, automatic and Apple Pay. But it's always around the ecosystem of what we're delivering, not actually really what we're delivering. And really what we've seen now is that it's affecting what we're delivering. And I think that's what we're seeing into 21 and now into 22 is the technology trends have affected the actual product we're delivering. And all the operators, brands, whatever you do, medical fitness, rehabilitation, collegiate, we talk to colleges all the time here in the North American market about it's affected what they deliver. And so now the trend is how do I take the digital component, whether it's virtual one-on-one, virtual small group, on-demand live streaming, smart connected equipment, right? All the things that we're doing. And how do I change the not the how, but the what? And that's what really we're seeing moving forward, whether it's through our platform, through other people's brands like Helaine and what she's doing. Like everyone is changing the what. And I think that's going to continue on into 22 and beyond.
Thanks, Adam. Great points. Jeff, what about your thoughts on this? Obviously, you're working globally with multiple operators, again, of all shapes and sizes. What are your thoughts in terms of digital 2020 and now digital and perhaps omnichannel in 2021?
Yeah, I think that Adam's spot on. And I think some of the buzzwords that have come out, of 2020 into 2021 is, really what does omnichannel mean? I mean, in 2019, 2020, that started to be, a conversation that, what is the hybrid model? What's it mean to run and operate a facility without walls, right outside, the facility? And that's really where I think, the omnichannel approach or the hybrid model, moving forward in 21 and 22 is what everybody's looking for. And so today there's a lot of content that's out there. There's a lot of companies, as Adam was just talking about, how do you now integrate, this technology or this digital platform into what your typical four walls facility was. And so coming out and moving forward, I think that a lot of operators realize that, hey, digital is going to be part of what their integrated service is. It's going to be something that we need to provide. It's not, a buzzword, or it's not something that was just a fad. It's something that's going to stay with us. And I think moving forward, really looking at, individuals like Jason and what they're doing with OPS moving forward, integrating that into that 4-wall membership to where to the consumer, it's seamless. There's no difference. If I work inside the facility or work outside the facility, it's any place, anytime, anywhere is really, I've seen Adam in the last 3 weeks more than I've seen my family just in, the different technology summits we've attended, but it's all been the same messaging. And the messaging has been, okay, we get it. Digital is going to be important. It's going to be part of what we're providing. How now do we integrate it? How do we monetize it? How do we track it? How do we take all these different digital touch points, from the different platforms that are out there, and how do we aggregate them, integrate them, and make them work for the specific operator or owner? And so that's really where I see it growing in 21 and 22 and forward.
Thanks, Jeff. Great points. Helaine, let me pull you in here because, of course, as an operator, you just touched on this smart fitness. You've obviously undergone this digital journey, this digital transformation. Looking at 2020 and then comparing it to 2021, what were your views and perspectives on digital and bringing that into the business? Was smart fitness always there as part of the vision, or did the last couple of years really just completely transform it digitally for you?
Great question, Ross. I think for us, I'm going to have to take a half a step back. And my background's actually in technology. It's not in fitness. I built my career way before this in enterprise SaaS software. So I'm probably a tech junkie first and a fitness professional second. My story is I fell in love with boutique fitness as the consumer and saw an opportunity to create. And when I say smart fitness, I'm actually talking about making sure that the movements are smart for your body, and then layering in the tech element. And I think where I see the trends in 20 and 21, you first have to actually take a couple steps back and look at the overall wellness trends over the past decade or even 2 decades, where the main theme in the thorough is that people are just working out more and more and more and more and more, right? That's why we're all on this call right now. And that's why we're all so busy, is that movement is accelerating like crazy and it doesn't see any signs of slowing down. And what that means is people are working out not just for more days of the week, but also for more years of their lives. And we're seeing more and more people enter the funnel and continue on their journey. And so if you looked and see where the higher growing areas of the marketplace were, trends that we've been seeing and all of us have been talking about for years have been, boutique fitness gaining market share over big box. Why? Community, connection. People want that motivation, the energy. And then we all saw some of the early trends in digital. I was operating a couple of New York City studios for CITYROW back in 2016 when I saw the early numbers at a Peloton. But also I felt it personally, as I'm sure a lot of the guys on the call here did as well, and watched friends not be able to come to a studio, whether they had a kid or they moved away. And all of a sudden there was an opportunity for them to check the box of being able to work out in a connected way, which was a little bit more exciting. And as we're trying to get more days of the week in, right? And the dad bod is no longer acceptable. You can't just decide, okay, I'm done with wellness for a million reasons. Digital started to emerge really early. And I think, we decided to bet on CITYROW Digital back in 2017 and launched our first rower and our on-demand content in 2018. So when 2020 hit, we were like, okay, great, here you go, right? It was a lovely supplement to be able to offer that to our consumers, but it was already there. Yeah, it was only about 7% market share or, household penetration, and now it's just exploded. So 20 really saw, I think, what the data is showing about a 10-year acceleration in an 18-month period of digital. But the reality is, and where we see 2021 is the recalibration is starting to happen. And we'll see a lot more of that into 22. And I think Adam hit on this perfectly, is that we're starting to understand the consumer that's doing both. And the way we came to digital was all about meeting the customer where they are. And I think that that's the biggest theme that we're all going to continue to be investing in. And the customer is not just in one place. They are not just in a physical studio. They are not just at home. They are everywhere in between. So it's really important that you're going to be serving them where they are and syncing their data and understanding them across platforms. So that's what we've seen over the past 18 months. And what we're excited to see into 22 is a true connection, right? Not siloed, but one true experience for the consumer.
Great point. The true connection, ever so important, Helaine. Jason, let me bring you in here because OPS, of course, your demographic base is quite huge. Your member base obviously is very varied. What are your thoughts in terms of how you view digital in 2020 versus 2021?
Yeah, I think our background as being physicians and healthcare personnel is that we've always wanted objective data to support what we're doing. So from the professional athlete and athlete training, we've had computerized force plates and AI-based supplies to be able to track this. And on the fitness side, we didn't have this as much. And then in 2020, there's a big push for people to start exercising that may not have ever been in the market because of the fear of the pandemic, right? So we have a lot of people that have never been in this marketplace that said, I need to start doing something because the research supported that people that were in shape or had a lower BMI were actually less likely to have severe complications from COVID. And so we got this big push of people unfamiliar with fitness. And along that, we had started working with iFit because I love the objective aspect of this, that I can start tracking people and see what they're actually doing and holding them accountable. And so as we opened up in the last month, we started to see a lot of people that started this at-home fitness journey that if they haven't been in fitness for a long time, we all know that it gets pretty mundane, even if we have a lot of virtual content, to stay motivated to go into your basement or go into an exercise room and keep active. And so as they've transitioned into our facility, we're utilizing this data and tracking with wellness coaches and personal trainers, where they have to show us their iFit data on a daily basis. And we're controlling them we do metabolomic testing, and we can program that into their iFit profile so they can start to actually see change on a regular basis. And that's the biggest point for us, is I think this is going forward to 2021, 2022 is objectively, how do we collect this and utilize that? And when people can see objective change or results, I think they're going to stick to this longer. So the more access we have to this, the better it's going to be for the end user.
Let me stick on this, Jason, the idea of content and obviously hyper-personalization, making sure it's what the member wants, what they need on their journey. When you're looking at content and trying to obviously deliver the right solutions to your members, how do you encourage them to take up digital? How can you try and catalyze the demand to make sure they understand the benefit, they see the objectives, they see the accountability? How do you and your staff manage to try and build that demand up?
Yeah, we've done a lot of training, and our staff, every new member that comes in, we're taking them to the cardio equipment and we're putting them, they sign up immediately for an iFit membership. So they get a membership included in our membership to our facility. And it's just the training aspect. And it's amazing to see people's faces as we show them they can hike anywhere in the world, or they have access to all this video. And then that data we can see, or they can turn it into us, they automatically get this safe place moment, because going into a big fitness facility is scary for the people who don't exercise on a regular basis. And so it's that whole delivery and education piece. And when they come back in, we're showing them another piece of equipment. And as you do that, you start to see that they're more comfortable of logging in, and they're more comfortable of trying something they've never tried. And I think you get long-term commitment out of that.
Thanks, Jason. Helaine, let's stick on that notion of content creation here and making sure that you're delivering it right. When you're looking at your content creation strategy, what are you seeing that's working over the past 12 to 24 months? And how do you think that's going to change? How are you going to increase demand across your content?
I think content delivery is all about listening to what customers want. And there's so many benefits to having a digital product. Basically, you can move really quickly. You can test a lot of different things. So when we first launched our content and, MVP in 2018, we had like 4 different classes, and we were like, let's see what works the best, right? And then we'll kind of follow those trends and go there. And the reality is that the behavior of the at-home consumer is very different than the behavior of the in-studio consumer. First and foremost, they likely are not going to work out for the same amount of time. And they also have a different attention span. They want a different set of content. Also, for us, and particularly for our modality, if someone is going to purchase a rower, they're likely more interested in doing more rower-themed content. So we saw an opportunity to launch a lot of new modalities that cater to that unique demographic and psychographic of the at-home consumer. And so where we sit today, it's not just our signature class, which is, what we serve to our studio consumers, and we know that they want that. And we've tried lots of things in studios that haven't stuck there. that do work digitally, which is just truly fascinating. In our digital offering now, we have everywhere from 20 to 50-minute classes. There's 14 different class types. Some match our in-studio signature class. Some are more rowing focused. Yoga works, right? You talk about how to get someone into something for the first time. We use this more general content, whether it's a boot camp class for 20 minutes or a stretching class for 10, or just a pure arms and abs for 10 or 20 minutes to get people to feel comfortable doing digital and then grow with them over time. And I think we kind of started to talk a little bit about personalization. I think that's going to be a huge theme for 22. And furthermore, personalization over preference. How can we leverage AI to actually tell you what you should be doing, not give you 5 options of things we think you want to do? I think that's where we're going with digital content, again, to serve the consumer. It's all about knowing the consumer to serve them better.
Thanks, Helaine. Great point there. Jeff, Adam, let me come to you next. Obviously, you're seeing this from a demand perspective. Helaine touched on this new content modalities coming into the marketplace, but of course, you're seeing it from a much more holistic viewpoint. Jeff, let me ask you first, what kind of content are you seeing that's most in demand just now? Is there perhaps pockets of opportunity for content creators in the marketplace? Are there areas of saturation of content that potentially exist?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Ross. I do think that the landscape as far as content development has grown massively, right? Over the last 6 months, 12 months. I mean, there's new companies out there every day that are providing content. And I think the key to the content is that, at least what we have found specifically at iFit, is we've built a lot of the content around storytelling or around, succession, or, to where no different than the national networks out there. If you look at we use this a lot, but if you look at Netflix, Netflix, it draws you into whatever series that you're watching. And so one of the things that we're seeing that's been successful is creating content that not just engages and provides an experience to a vast variety of consumers, but one that also keeps you coming back, right? One that, creates something to where instead of you exercising, 2 times a week or 3 times a week, you're now exercising 3, 4, 5 times a week. As Helaine said, that's really the key. The key is activity and participation. And the more that we get people to be active and the more that we get them to participate and create a habit-forming habit, that's really going to continue to grow. And so, in the future, I think that, anybody that gets into the content business, that's really where the future is going to be, is creating this content to where individuals, and we've seen it really focused on the consumer side. And, one of the things that has happened specifically around that is it will learn who you are. So over time, with a lot of AI tools out there, as Helaine said, it will become personalized versus just providing you a preference of what we think. And no different than, what Amazon does today or Google does today. It's very personalized, right? I mean, the information that you're provided is specific to you. And so fitness is going to, not take a back seat to that anymore. I think they're going to be in the forefront. And that's really what's going to lead us into the digital transformation in the future.
Great points, Jeff. Adam, coming to you, any points or thoughts around content creation currently, content demand, content saturation?
Yeah, first, I want to tell Helaine that I probably halfway rock the dad bod. So I don't want to say it's out of style yet. Now, come on. I'm working on it, though. COVID was tough. But anyway, I just thought I'd bring that in there. But anyway, so for me, from a content, it's really, let me focus back to strictly the operator, because we've got some folks on this call who make amazing content, whether it's tied to multiple types of equipment modalities or mainly to rower, but complementary around it, right? But if I look at it from the operator perspective, what we're trying to see now is basically content is morphing from a whether you're a studio or just a commercial fitness club operator. We talk to them every day about really 3 types of content. And the first thing we try to remind them is that you don't need to be Apple or Peloton or anybody in this call. You're probably never going to get that quality of content out there. And that's okay, because that's not your game every day, right? You don't have production studios. If you're a 3-club chain in Boise, Idaho, you can make some great content, but it may not look like Steven Spielberg produced it. And that's okay. It's all about quality. It's all about being authentic, and it's all about relatable. But we talk about content with operators really in 3 areas. And by the way, not all 3 apply to every operator, but we talk about your original kind of exercise, in-club exercise replacement. I can't get into the club. You talk about how do you replace that workout at home, whatever it may be. And to Helaine's point, our average workout on our platform with the hundreds of thousands of hours a month, our average workout duration is about 21 minutes. That's the average length. So they're doing quick bites. They have like meeting canceled. I got 28 minutes to do a quick workout, make it look like I'm not sweating on my next Zoom call and get back to it, right? And so we're seeing that right now. So it's exercise replacement when you can't get into the gym is first and foremost. And we talk about partnering with third-party folks. Like if you don't need to recreate the wheel. If you're looking for some group exercise content, partner with a Les Mills, partner with a Shift, partner with somebody, put some of that content on there, and then weave your own content in there, because we do feel that it's important to have some third-party content and your own people. They need to see your team with your shirts and your logos talking your language, especially if you're a small 3-5 1-club operator. That really builds that hyperlocal rapport, right? So that's the first piece of content. The second piece is more that concierge type content, whether it's recovery, which is a big one. Give them another reason to work out on your platform and engage with you. And we know club operators, we're all dying for that one extra check-in a week. Can I get one more check-in, right? Can I get Jeff to come into my club one more time? If I do, he's engaged and he's going to stay longer, and I'm going to make more money from him. So what else can I do to get Jeff worked out? Well, I've been with Jeff for the last 3 weeks. He's not a young guy, so he can't work out heavy 4 or 5 days a week, right? So he wants to do some recovery. So I should put some recovery on the platform, and stretching and meditation and all of the different types of workout and nutrition and mental wellness content. That was a big theme this week. Jeff and I heard it, in Nashville, was all about at the executive summit for club industry, was all about mental wellness and how really we're tying it more and more. So that's the second piece. And then the third piece is really what we like to refer to as that gym intimidation content. We all think about digital as, out of club. And well, it's not anymore. It's also in club for an operator. How do I make it easier when Jason comes in and joins my club to let him know that he's got access to this platform? It shows him how to use every piece of equipment. It's got his gym manager on there, his fitness director. It's got their bios. It's got a workout of the week. Most clubs have beautiful functional training areas now. So why not give them workouts they can do in there, in your club, right? Or just like with the folks that I fit with, all their content on their equipment, make better use. Stop watching reruns of Friends on the treadmill and actually do a real workout, right? And so all those things are really happening. So that's the 3 areas from an operator perspective that we try to get them to focus on. And we remind them it doesn't always have to be you and your team, but a good portion of it should be.
3 great points there, Adam. And again, maybe just re-emphasizing the importance of working with great partners to get through this and transform your business. Jason, let me bring you in here, because of course, as an operator who, unlike Helaine, hasn't got that technical background, or perhaps isn't a technologist at heart, when you're looking at solving the hybrid puzzle for your future business, you've obviously sat back, decided upon what you're going to be doing. But how was that journey for you? What did you look at as potential threats? What did you look at as potential opportunities? And how did you find a way to try and create what you believe is a winning hybrid strategy?
Yeah, I honestly, looking at it, I never thought there was a threat. I've always tried to figure out how to get people to engage more when they're not inside our facility. I mean, it's the same thing we do with patients. We give them instructions to go do at home, and you hope they follow through with that. But there was no way to track that. And I think this has allowed us to be able to keep people or hold members accountable and let them engage when they're in the club and outside the club. So there's nothing but positive outcomes here. And I think if we put our eggs in one basket on either side, I think you're really missing the majority of the population that wants to have both out of club experience, in club experience. But for me, it's totally been objective. And when I sat down with Jeff and Dan Twego at Freemotion and they introduced us to iFit, it was what we had been looking for the last 4 years of designing this facility. It was, now I have something I can take, and we're actually taking this to our actuaries on the healthcare side, on the health insurance side, that I think as we get more data, we can start to utilize this as a research model to say, if people do these things, it makes them healthier and they're less likely to get sick, so their premium can go down. I think there's no limit to where we can take this from a healthcare standpoint, and that's what's been the benefit and exciting of seeing what else we can add to this.
Great point, Jason. It really does amplify the potential reach of what we can do for so many people. Helaine, let me bring you in here. You're maybe slightly further down in terms of your digital transformation and your hybrid offerings, but of course, going down that journey, that path, you've no doubt stumbled a few times. Any reflections on perhaps what you would do differently, and then maybe some ideas on what you've done really well that have helped you succeed in building a hybrid model?
I don't think that we have enough time for all the mistakes that we made in this, but I believe in a certain theory that Facebook, pioneered years ago, which was like launch it at 80% and then see what happens, and then make your iterations over time. And so we made a lot of mistakes by saying, all right, we're at 80%, let's go, and then see what happens. I think, first and foremost, like we just didn't know what the consumer wanted. And, we as executives are like, we know what they want. Like, we'll give them what we think that they want. And then they're like, screw you guys. We're going to tell you what we want by, either canceling or providing with a lot of feedback. So we learned a lot in the early days. I think where we're at now too, and also listen, we have a lot of franchisees that we had to be very transparent with early on. And I looked every franchisee in the eye, even before they decided to join the family, and said, we have a big digital offering. You have to be 1000% on board with this as an asset and not see it as a threat. And if you see this digital thing as a threat, then you're actually not a good fit for us. And we said no to a lot of franchisees that didn't believe in this. So I think that there's a lot of fear from traditional studio businesses of digital. I think, let's call a spade a spade. That's probably some of the biggest, challenges that I've run into in this omnichannel, in building an omnichannel brand, is studios seeing digital as a threat and not an asset. And I remember a deck that I presented in 2017 to our first round of franchisees, where I was like, it was a very controversial slide, but I was like, guys, this is happening. And if we don't do it, somebody else will. So do you want to be part of the family that's doing it, or do you want to let someone else get the at-home consumer? And then we can't welcome them into the CITYROW community. And so I think where there's a lot of opportunity is seeing digital as a huge lead gen asset. And we're talking about now is needing it, right? Everyone was in 2020, to Adam's point, we need this thing now. It's going to be the savior, but it's also people feel really threatened by it, right? How many, spin studio owners watch their consumers buy a Peloton or a SoulCycle bike? That is scary to them. But if you have the opportunity to connect with the consumer at home, and furthermore, you can capture additional market share with people that have never come to your studio before, but that you can serve the content to, then you can welcome them into the studio. And so we kind of try to really, and this is a constant battle, because this is just changing everyone's behavior, and behavior change is just a hard thing in general, but leveraging the digital content as a way to show people what to expect. I think someone hit on this earlier, but people are sometimes afraid to be working out with other people in a room. I think it's something that we probably don't think about a lot, because we're probably pretty advanced in our fitness maturity. But a lot of people are like, well, hey, I'm not in great shape. Or, hey, I'm a little embarrassed. And so being able to leverage digital content to say hey, here's what you can expect. Why don't you try one of our bootcamp classes at home? Get a sense of the cues. Watch one of our signature classes. It's actually a tool to welcome people in. So I'm hopeful that as we just continue to, see digital as a piece of this normal pie, people will be a little bit more excited about it. And, those that have been afraid can see it more as an opportunity.
Great point, Helaine. Adam, let me pull you into this. Helaine mentioned threat, the need for buy-in, the need to truly understand what consumers actually want. Yourself and then Jeff, I'll follow up with Jeff after this, but what do you think at the moment in time? How are operators winning in the hybrid race? I mean, how are they doing it well? And perhaps, what do they have to overcome to, the mindset issue on being afraid, for example? What do they have to overcome to get to a point where they're in a position to do great things?
It's funny. I'm sitting there getting PTSD listening to Helaine, because we deal with franchisors all day long, all over North America, all over the world. And the biggest problem they have, and we have one in particular with hundreds and hundreds of locations, boutique studio style, amazing brand, super successful. but their franchisees were revolting on the fact that digital was actually going to stay. But what do you mean it's going to stay? The pandemic's over. It was a tough thing, and so they actually ran a pilot between some corporate clubs as well as about 40 or so franchisees who were willing to participate. And they actually, and you know, as a technology person, as a data person, they just decided, let's just show them the data. And so they built a model. And really, this is for all operators. To answer your question, for all operators, I think to win, they had to redo their business model. Understand, what does this mean to my business model? It's not a drastic rewrite of your business plan, but what does it mean to my model? Am I going to bundle this into my memberships? Am I only going to sell it as an add-on? Am I going to do both? And so as part of the pilot, they then decided how they were going to handle that. They were going to bundle it in their top tier membership. They were going to raise price. And every time, I think one of the things that maybe scares people, and Helaine's probably dealing with too, is they feel like it's going to reduce their dues line, right? And it's going to drop it down, and they're going to go from an in-club or in-studio member to digital only. And in fact, we all know they're doing both, but you've got to prove that to them. So we talked to them about changing their pricing, actually increasing the pricing of your top tier membership if you're going to bundle it, because this is a revenue driver. This is not just an OpEx. This is a cost of goods. This is something that you should be driving new revenue. So that's the first piece of what we see, Ross, when they're trying to win. The second piece is you've got to educate the staff. You cannot just deploy this. You would never deploy small group training in a fitness facility and not teach your team the benefits of it, why they should sell it, what's the benefits for the member, what's the benefits for them, for the brand. And so same thing with the digital aspect. If you're going to deploy digital in your clubs, in your studio, teach your staff, teach your front desk staff, your sales staff, your personal trainers. Personal trainers could be concerned this could take away from their business. And in fact, it could help augment their business and grow it and keep their members coming back to personal training longer. But if you don't explain that to them and show it to them and make it available, everyone should have it on their phones. It should be on every desk when you're walking the member through and you're sitting down, showing them your triple kit of choice of memberships. You should have a new tab open with your on-demand and be able to window over and show it. And because seeing is believing, and talking about how it's helped members, right? And then, of course, you know, why are they winning? We talked about this, but the complementary content strategy, don't just do exercise replacement. And then more importantly, put the member at the forefront of the experience. And I think, you know, as a tech guy, we always talk about, you know, getting, customer use cases and get their buy-in and voice of the customer. And we said, these are all buzzwords we talk about in software and tech, but you need that in fitness too. Talk to them, reel them in, ask them what they're missing. Ask them if they could get one more workout a weekend at home or some sort of engagement with your brand and they couldn't get it, what would it be? Because that'll help dictate your content strategy and things of that nature. So the folks who do that and who also assign somebody to own the project, maybe it's not their only job, but it's one of their jobs. That's who's winning, because it really becomes critical. They talk about it in every daily stand-up they have, every executive team meeting, just like they do NPS. It becomes a discussion point of every meeting, and then it gets intertwined into their business.
Thanks, Adam. Great point. Jeff, let me bring you in on this. Of course, there are different operators in different parts of that journey, some just beginning, some needing more education, some much, much further down the path. You're talking to operators every day. Who is winning? Maybe not specific company names, but who is winning and why? And perhaps again, maybe why are some companies failing to take the right steps forward?
Yeah, I think winners are individuals like Jason, right? That knew at a very early start, he wanted to really look at how does he weave it into the fabric of what the service he's going to provide or the product that he's providing. And so, finding individuals out there that really understand that. And I think that's one of the things that we're seeing now is that, from 2020 and, now that, people are understanding, hey, digital is going to be part of what I offer every day. And if I truly want to follow my member, right, on their journey, on their fitness journey, this needs to be a part of it. And Helaine talked about it, it's, and especially if you look at, who everybody is going after from a market, right? I mean, the biggest two market sectors today are obviously the, millennials and the Gen Zs, right? I mean, they make up, a huge population of who all of these companies are going after. And their expectation is that it's at their fingertips, that digital, regardless, they want it when they want it. Instant satisfaction, Adam has talked about, obviously the SaaS model and being in, the digital side for a long, long time. And that's really something that, I think that we're starting to understand, and operators are starting to understand that, hey, we can provide this outside of our traditional four walls. And that's, Jason has embraced that, as well as anybody, to where he truly understands that, hey, why shouldn't I know, what our members are currently doing, or why shouldn't I be able to communicate when they're outside the four walls of my facility, or why, and all those answers are, all those questions are starting to be answered specifically around, hey, if I have a really, robust, platform that I can communicate and I can integrate and I can work with, and, it just provides a better service. It provides, an opportunity to truly, run your operation and, provide people with results. And that's, any business that you get into, if it's results driven and you're able to manage and see those results, individuals will adapt and stay for a longer period of time. And so, looking at individuals like Jason, that's the individuals that are, in my opinion, that's the individuals that are going to win in the long run. So.
Great points, Jeff. I suppose, ladies and gents, what we've saw in the past 18 months has been some truly innovative operators who have gone down and created some fantastic digital products. There's also been a huge number of people that have just jumped on the content train and just tried to get something out into the marketplace. And perhaps they've often discounted at price, or perhaps made it even free of price. Let's talk about price, because of course it's hard to try and determine what kind of strategy you've got. Jason, looking at this, when you've obviously decided that you're going down this pathway, this is very much a huge pillar of the future of your business. How do you price that in? Adam touched about this as a cost of goods, rather than just a cost, but how do you then price that into memberships? How do you create memberships that perhaps are standalone or are integrated? Your thoughts on this would be great.
Yeah, so when I decided, as we researched the fitness industry more, and you realize that 80 to 90% of the people that start a fitness journey quit really quickly, and they don't stay with it because of some objective reason. And it's usually, I don't lose weight or my body doesn't change shape, right? And so right away, I thought we have to have something to keep the member engaged and be able to utilize that as a tool to show them that they are making progress. So we, from day one, decided we're not going to charge. This is not going to be an upsell to a premium membership. It's going to be given to everybody, because I really can't lay my head down at night and think these people are paying for a year membership and they're coming for a few months and then they quit and I never see them again. I live in the same community as them. I don't want that to happen. So it's that I want something that they're always going to be involved with. We've added DEXA scanning, we've added metabolic testing, we've added just every tool we can on the backside of this to show them that if you stick with this plan, whether it's at home or in our facility or both, hopefully, then you are going to lose inches around these body parts, or you are going to lose weight eventually, or your VO2 max is going to improve. And I think that all comes back to engaging them at all times and giving them ease of access to engage.
Great point, Jason. Kind of just obviously tagging on to what Adam said there, include it as a premium, a part of your premium membership. Helaine, let me come over to you on pricing. Of course, again, you're further down this pathway, you're experimenting different modalities, new things added into the mix. What are your views on pricing and where are you going to take that going forward?
Something we talk about often, and I think it's gone through a lot of phases since the pandemic started. We have always charged inherently for our digital access. We've charged, we launched at $29 a month. We are about to increase that as we launch live classes next week, which is obviously an elevated experience. We're constantly talking about what the right balance is between making this an additional offering for people and giving access to them for free, but also there's real value in it. There's probably a bit of a hybrid. We also see access to digital as a big benefit of being an in-studio consumer. So similarly, we do offer the digital access as a gift, basically, if you have an in-studio gold membership. So the highest tier membership in a studio gets, complimentary access to digital. Now, I think someone who said this earlier, there's real value there. So likely we will increase that highest level membership to be also, if you want the digital, you actually have to pay for it. Because moving forward, the consumer actually does see value there. There's also, things that we're talking about of like, hey, is the in-studio consumer do they need full access to the live content? Do they need access to all the content? Or is there a light version of the content that people can have as more of a companion app, right? For those that are in-studio members, maybe they only need access to yoga, boot camp classes, mobility, some complementary stuff, because studio is really where they're spending most of their time. Maybe they have access to a handful of on-demand classes, but hey, if you want the live classes, then you're going to pay more. Something we're actively talking about. I think what we do know is there's a lot of value there. What we also know is that the value is different depending on how often you're going to be engaging with it. And for us, a big factor there is, do you have a rower or not? Something we're actively discussing, and I think we're going to probably make some changes going into next year, again, to continue to listen and watch the consumer behavior.
It's great, Helaine, to see it so front of mind. Jeff, you've also been in discussion with many of your operator partners. These are the kind of thought processes they're going through at the moment. There's no right or wrong, but what are you seeing in terms of how people are pricing, and what is your advice, people looking at various pricing strategies?
Yeah, we're in some deep conversations right now with some large enterprise operations and facilities that they're really looking, and Helaine just talked about specifically around the value add, right? And if they traditionally have, and Adam touched on this earlier, that you have to recognize that there is value to providing basically this service outside of the four walls of your facility. And so I think a lot of them look at it, what's the best way to monetize it, right? What's the best way for us to provide, in a sort of an added on value to the product that we have today inside the four walls, outside the four walls. And so I would say that the majority of the individuals that are looking at it and, trying to figure it out is, if they traditionally either sell a premium membership, or if they provide a increase in their dues over time, that they feel like this is something that they can couple in there and provide that value add for their individual members. In facilities like Jason's, obviously when you start fresh and from the beginning, and you blend that price or that fee or whatever it is inside that membership to where that individual doesn't know, it's a much different way to market and sell it, right? It is just part of what he offers. Not only does he offer this great service inside OPS, but he also offers this phenomenal service outside of OPS, meaning that this is what OPS is. The product is all of the above. And so these facilities that maybe they didn't offer a digital product in the past, and they're trying to integrate it in, they're looking at it and saying, okay, if I'm traditionally a $50 a month facility, am I now a $55 a month facility because I'm going to offer some type of digital platform? But that's what we're seeing out there right now.
Thanks, Jeff. Adam, you're a big fan of price bundling. Obviously, Helaine and Jason are doing that both there to great effect. What are your thoughts about that and just pricing overall?
Yeah, I guess, we deal with such a broad range of customers. In the studio world, I certainly think there's room to build additional monetization in something like this when you're offering digital. And I think you've seen that done time and time again and done very successfully. I think in the club operator world, we've seen both. We've seen people bundle and be very successful. And really, what is a measure of success? It's just, that measuring engagement and attachment up that upper tier membership pre and post launch of this, and how many people are not only attaching to that at point of sale, but how many are sticking with it, and are they driving additional usage? And when you can see their in-club check-ins compared to their digital check-ins, and you bring that together and you get that full view of their exercise regimen, that really gives you an idea of A, if you're driving you more dues for your club, but B, are they using those platforms? Is the content engaging, and how do I make sure they stay at that top tier membership? So we see that. And I think what we've also seen too is clubs be successful at selling a service add-on item, for example, like a lockers or towel service with digital, but not being overzealous with the price. We all realize that, as operators, like I said before, we're not Steven Spielberg, we're not Peloton, we're not Apple. So don't try to sell your digital add-on component for a significant dollar amount that's really going to make people expect high quality all the time, tons of content. Now we see the best people who have success in adding this as a revenue stream So those lower tier memberships who don't get it bundled in that, $2.99 to $5.99 range US per month. A small add-on, if you're a $20 or $30 membership, an extra $2 to $5, not a big deal. Easy to talk about at point of sale, easy to upsell, especially when as a fallback, when Adam says, hey, I'm not going to spend $49 a month at your club, but I'll spend $24.99 plus $3 extra on digital. Sure, let's do that. And so it makes it a lot easier. So again, it just comes back to educating your people. But I think we've seen operators be successful in both areas from a monetization standpoint. It just depends on their model and how they want to deliver it.
Thanks, Adam. Great points here, ladies and gentlemen. Some great nuggets I hope you're taking away back home. We've got a couple of questions. We've probably got about maybe 5-7 minutes left. So we're going to do a quick fire round the houses for the last couple of sessions. The second last question is really looking at what questions an operator should really ask themselves as they're trying to either start on the hybrid journey or expand down that journey. So Helaine, let me bring you in here. What 3 questions, what 3 pieces of advice would you offer other operators who are going down this journey? What should they be asking themselves?
What does your consumer want in a digital experience? Both, and I think that's probably the number one question. You can drill down there in 3 different ways, but what do they want in terms of modality? What do they want in terms of time? And what do they want in terms of cost? Those are the 3 questions that I would ask any new operator.
Great thoughts, Helaine. Thank you. Jason, yourself, obviously, you're in this journey, reflecting back on questions you could have, should have asked yourself, but what questions come front of mind?
Yeah, I think Helaine nailed it right there. Is for us, it was what is the cost for us to add this to their membership? And ultimately, what do the memberships want or need from an exercise experience? Because I think as gym owners or operators, we think of the small 20% that really love exercising and been doing it their whole life. We have this whole other group out there that has never stepped into a facility. So what do they want and what do they need and how do we give that to them?
Thanks, Jason. Adam, let me pull you in next.
Sure. I mean, I think for me, the 3 key areas that you want to focus on if you're trying to do this. Number one, do I have the people and resources, time and money to build this omni-channel business that we can monetize? And even if it's just one person part-time, it's better than nothing. So that's the first thing. Can I offer that quality mixture of content that's both has all 3 areas we talked about: exercise, in-club exercise replacement, concierge content, and then kind of that gym intimidation content, and that will meet the members where they are. To Helaine's point earlier, it's where they want to work out, when, how, and with who. And I think the third thing, although not to be overly dramatic about it, but can I afford not to invest in something? Can I afford to do that? If I'm the only one in my market and I have no competition, great, then I can afford not to do that. And hopefully I won't have too many members disengaged because I don't have that. But that's a question. The third one is just, can I afford not to do this?
Okay, thanks, Adam. Jeff, your thoughts, your 3 questions?
Yeah, I'll tie into Adam's third question about can I afford not to do this, because I think it's something, the digital is something that everybody has to embrace. I'll take a little bit of a different switch and just, as an operator or owner, I think that there's a lot of opportunities out there, and, who is the right partner, right? Who is going to represent my brand the way that I want my brand represented, meaning that, from a quality, if you're truly, you're a big operator with 50 plus more facilities, you're not going to, develop the content on your own, because you're not going to probably, create a production studio and do all that. And that's not your core competency. So who's the right partner for me? And then, back to the consumer, what's going to keep my consumer, or what's going to keep my member engaged? I think that's really being an operator, coming at it from, we all want to increase lifetime value of our member. And that comes down to one thing, it comes down to engagement. Unfortunately, our industry is built on the fact that, we turn over 40% of our population annually from an attrition standpoint. And so I think that we need to look at that. How do we continually engage these people? And everybody has said it on this phone call, but, any place, anytime, anywhere. So
Yeah, great thoughts, Jeff. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're down to our last quick-fire question, and we're going to look with a crystal ball into 2022. I know we could look further down and talk all day about things like the metaverse and a whole range of AI and machine learning, but let's look at innovation for the next 12 months. What do you think is going to change in the market in the next 12 months? Where can innovation truly take this industry, and especially omnichannel? Jason, I'll bring in you first, my friend.
Yeah, I think we're going to get into more personalized AI-based digital platform and omnichannel approach. I think Helaine said this already, is if somebody doesn't feel like it's for them specifically, then it's harder to stay engaged. So I think the more down the road we get, it's going to be that personalized approach.
Thanks, Jason. Personalization there. Adam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think certainly personalization is one. I think the other piece is, I think it's going to be more of a continued approach to meet the member where they are, right? So what do I mean by that? I mean partnerships that, like we've announced with a couple of equipment manufacturers, so that the platforms can be accessible and they can see their content right on the screen, and they can engage the member where they want to be. So I think that I think we're barely at first base, rounding first, since it's mostly US folks on this call, right? Baseball reference, but I think we're barely there. We're just rounding first. So I don't think from a perspective that we put this out there and that we've done everything we can. Certainly personalization and AI will be a big part of that, but I think just expanding the anywhere reach of digital content to make it more engaging with the club, I think that's really what we're going to see push out in 22.
Thanks, Adam. Jeff?
I think 2022 is going to be an integration of platforms. I think that the consumer and the actual club customer is going to dictate that all of their different digital touch points, everybody's going to want to follow that member journey. And in order to do that successfully, I think that we need to have an integration and open APIs to where a lot of these platforms are talking to each other in order to be successful. So you take a facility like Jason's, I think moving forward, the data, is going to basically give you the information. And in order to really look at that data, that all these different levels and platforms are going to need to integrate and talk to each other.
Great point. Jeff, Helaine, you're going to lead us home. Your final closing thought.
Oh, the honor. Thank you, Ross. I'm gonna echo everything that these guys said. I'm also just going to add on, I think that 22 is going to be a year of what I hope is stabilization and recalibration. I think what happened and transformed this industry over the past 18 months, soon to be 24 months, we pushed boundaries that we probably wouldn't have even gotten to in 10 years of traditional evolution in the space. And so I actually think that we need to just calm down for a hot second and recalibrate and start to listen to what the customer actually wants to do once they are not restricted in their behavior. I'm really curious to see how this shakes out. I think we're all extremely bullish on omnichannel, but it's really time to listen.
Great point, well made. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not optimistic and positive about the future of omnichannel after this conversation, I'm not quite sure how we can help you. But a huge thanks to Helaine, to Jason, to Adam, and to Jeff for some truly inspiring stories. I mean, they really have done incredible things these last 12 months, and there's no reason why you can't do so either. It really is an incredible market out there for all of us tomorrow, especially, as Jason mentioned, if we're trying to make sure we're making as many people as possible access this industry and become happier and healthier. Jason, Adam, Jeff, and last but not least, Helaine, thank you very much, folks, and we'll see you again soon.
At Intelivideo, we aren't just a technology company. Our end-to-end solution creates a robust digital subscription offering. Come be part of a platform that is helping lead the hybridization efforts for some of the country's best fitness operators.